Following on from my previous video on how to ID succulents using technology, this video will be all about getting to know the main succulent types and how to recognize them based on their common characteristics. When I say types, I mean the succulent genera that are most popular. A genus is the first word in a plant's botanical name and is followed by species. A genus is also, in simple terms, described as a group of related plants with a common ancestor that can share similar features. So, for example, this succulent is called Echeveria elegans, Echeveria being the genus name and elegans species. The common characteristics in the Echeveria genus are succulent leaves emerging from a central point in the succulent stem, forming a rosette shape. Flowers and growth habit are also similar across the plants in this genus. Another thing that may need explaining before we start is varieties, hybrids and cultivars. A variety is a naturally occurring subcategory of a species that usually comes to existence when a plant mutates in nature. A hybrid is a crossbreed of two different species. Hybrids can be created in nature through pollination or in cultivation through human intervention. A cultivar is a cultivated plant that is grown specifically because of a desirable trait by humans. A cultivar can consist of naturally occurring varieties or hybrids. Now we've got the technicalities out of the way, let's get into it. We'll look at a total of 21 most common genera, their characteristics, and the most popular species and cultivars within them. This is going to be a very long video. You can skip ahead in the timeline if you come across a genus you're familiar with. Aeonium, also known as tree house leeks, is a genus of about 35 species of succulent plants. Many of the species were hybridized and selectively bred, so there are a lot more cultivars that do not naturally grow in the wild. These succulents are super popular due to their hardiness and beauty. Aeonium are fantastic beginner plants and will tolerate a lot of neglect. They are quite recognizable by their shrubby growth habit and rosettes at the end of each branch. The leaves are oblong, spatula-like and mostly glossy. The flowers are yellow and form a cone shape. Aeonium are monocarpic, which means the flowering rosette will die with the flower, but the plant usually continues to live on. Aeonium come in various sizes. Some can grow to over 1.5 meters tall and wide, but others like this aureum don't grow much more than 15 centimeters tall and wide. The leaves in some species and cultivars can also be a little furry. Agave are a staple in many succulent gardens, especially in hot and airy parts of the world. They are tough plants that will cope with a lot of heat and survive on minimal water. A fun fact, tequila is made out of a species of agave. Most agave have needle-like spines. The longest spine is located at the tip of each leaf, but there are shorter, equally sharp teeth spines running along the edge. Some agave grow long narrow leaves, some wide and short, while others are somewhere in between. The size can also vary. Agave americana can grow to about 2 meters tall and 4 meters across. But then there's Agave strictanana that only grows to about 15 centimeters. The leaves are tough and leathery. Just like Aeonium, agave are monocarpic and will die with its flower. The flowers can take over 20 years to appear. Aloe is a large genus containing over 650 species and many other cultivars. Most aloe have thick fleshy leaves and resemble agave a little bit. However, not many aloe develop the sharp spines. They still have the teeth edging the leaves, but they are unlikely to break through the skin. Aloe also produce many flowers over their lifetime and are not monocarpic. Some appear stemless and grow at ground level, while others have a branched stem. The size of aloe can vary, and some can grow tall and wide, while others are small growing. These succulents form clumps with offsets forming at the base. Aloe flowers range from red, orange, pink to yellow. They are tubular and often form a cone shape. The Ceropegia genus is mainly known for the chain of hearts. There are about 400 species, and most are ramblers or vines, often cultivated for uses in hanging baskets. The vines can get quite long, often measuring multiple meters in length. Ceropegia are also famous for their peculiar flowers. Many will form a dome over the top in order to trap insects, forcing them to partake in pollination. Truly stunning and weird at the same time. There's only about 24 species in the Cotyledon genus. Arguably the most famous one is the bare spore here. Cotyledon are mostly small shrubs with woody stems. The leaves are opposite and fleshy. The flowers are pendulous and tubular. The leaves can be fuzzy, slightly sticky, or covered in the dusty farina. Crassula is a large genus of about 200 species. The most known is Crassula ovata, also known as the jade plant. There is quite a variation in what Crassula look like. Many species and cultivars are medium shrubs. Others are more of a shrublet type. And then there are creeping ground covers of various shapes and sizes. The leaves can be covered in small fine hair, but most are glossy. The variation is so vast it can be hard to find the characteristic that would define all Crassula. One common-ish feature are the flowers. They are usually white with pink undertones and come up in bunches on short stalks growing out of the middle of each branch. Echeveria is a genus of about 150 species and many more cultivars. They are some of the most popular succulents due to their amazing rosette arrangement of leaves. Many grow close to the ground and have a clumping habit, producing offsets at the bottom. This earned Echeveria the nickname ham and chicks, though it is used in connection with other succulent genera too. Some Echeveria will have thinner leaves, but others can be quite fleshy. There's also quite a variance, with some Echeveria reaching over 40 cm, while others make it to only 10. The flowers are bell-shaped and grow out of the rosette on tall stalks. They come in a great range of colors. There are some downright weird plants in the Euphorbia genus. If you're after some unusual looking succulents, you'll definitely find them here. This genus is a very large, diverse, and contains non-succulent species as well. Some 2,000 plants fall into this genus. But despite this, all Euphorbia have one common feature. They contain a white latex-like sticky sap that is poisonous. It can damage eyesight if it gets into the eyes and stays untreated, can irritate skin and cause sickness if digested. Some Euphorbia even have sharp spines and often get mistaken for cacti. Many Euphorbia will also have leaves on their branches. Some are tiny, but others can be quite big. These are usually deciduous and fall off in winter. Gasteria is a small genus of around 29 species. They are quite recognizable by their tongue-shaped thick leaves. Many Gasteria have attractive markings such as white dots or lines. But it's the unique flower that gives Gasteria its name. Gaster is Latin for stomach, and the flowers are stomach-shaped with a swollen base. Some Gasteria can grow to about 1 meter height and width, but many are small to about 20 centimeters. Graptopetalum is also a small genus of only around 19 species, but there are more cultivars available. These are very hardy plants and as a bonus look absolutely amazing. Graptopetalum are mostly a shade of pink or purple and have fleshy leaves with a light dusting of farina. They have the ability to spread over large distances and make a good ground cover. New branches end in rosettes and grow out of any part of existing branches. All Graptopetalum have the same flower. The 5 petals open up white but can have slight red markings in some species. Haworthia is a genus of about 60 species. These plants are mostly very small and greenish in color. The size can vary, though the largest species grow to about 15 centimeters. Some Haworthia have thick fleshy leaves and translucent tips and/or edges. Others look like mini aloes with an assortment of white markings. Despite the variance in the way Haworthia look, they all have one thing in common: the inflorescence. All Haworthia have the same flowers. They come up on a tall stalk, are tubular and mostly white. Kalanchoe is a genus of about 125 species. The way these succulents look can vary quite a bit. There's flowering Kalanchoe such as the ones here that have been heavily hybridized to display different color flowers. They typically have glossy green leaves and grow as a small shrub. Kalanchoe grow opposite leaves of many colors, shapes and sizes. This tarantula has very odd leaves indeed, but the flowers are very much a typical flowering Kalanchoe shape. Here's another type of Kalanchoe, completely different shape and texture of leaves. The tomentosa varieties are also very cute and fuzzy. It can be difficult to identify a Kalanchoe, as even the flowers can differ quite a bit between species. Unlike the previous flowers we've seen, the Fetchenkoi here has pendulous tubular flowers. The main common characteristics are that most Kalanchoe are small shrubs to about 1 meter and have spoon-shaped opposite leaves. The genus of Peperomia is huge and contains over 1,000 species, some of which are not succulents. The appearance varies greatly and many look nothing like each other. Some grow as small shrubs, while others can trail. Many could be called semi-succulents too. And yet again, they have one thing in common: the flower. The great majority of Peperomia will grow a variation of this strange, unremarkable spike. Portulacaria is a tiny genus of about 7 species. This one is the most popular. These succulents often get confused with the plants in Crassula genus, as the leaves and growth habit is quite similar to Crassula ovata and its cultivars. Portulacaria grows small leaves on woody stems and have a dense bushy appearance. Rhipsalis is a genus of about 35 species of mostly pendant and epiphytic succulents. Due to their growth habit, they are also known as the mistletoe cactus. Rhipsalis make fantastic hanging basket plants and are one of few succulents that will tolerate growing indoors well. Although the appearance can vary, the flowers are very similar across the species. They're usually off-white, and when pollinated, a seed ball will form once the flower dies. Sansevieria used to be a genus of its own, but they now fall under the genus of Dracaena after recent studies have been conducted. The species in the former Sansevieria genus are also known as the mother-in-law's tongue or snake plant. This genus is quite varied, but most of its species and cultivars have long, pointy and leathery leaves with green, white or yellow pattern. Plants will often form dense clumps thanks to underground spread of rhizomes. Some Sansevieria can grow quite tall, while others stay low to the ground. These plants tolerate shade well and are popular house plants, though do be careful as they can be poisonous if ingested. Sedum is another big and varied genus containing around 500 species. These plants can be quite small with tiny leaves. Most have a spreading habit, which makes Sedum popular ground covers. But others can have bigger, more chunky leaves. Most Sedum will have star-shaped yellow or white flowers that burst out from the top of each branch. Sedum can be annual, biennial or perennial. Some will grow better during the cooler months, while others do best when warm. Sempervivum is another genus where plants are nicknamed hen and chicks due to the offsets growing at the base under the mother plant. There's 40 species in this genus, but there are other cultivars on top of that. The leaves are arranged in a rosette shape and plants form large clumps. They make for attractive ground covers and can spread fast via offsets in favorable conditions. Most Sempervivum are frost tolerant and perfect to grow in climates that experience frost and snow during winter. Senecio is a large genus consisting of over 1,000 species. Many are non-succulent. The most popular Senecio are the string-of plants such as string of pearls. This genus is incredibly varied, but there is one thing most will have in common. And yes, you guessed it, the common feature is the flower. They look like white balls with cute little curls. In some species they can be yellow, but the shape is very similar. There's a whole other subset of succulents where two species from different genera were crossed. These are usually fabulous and hardy plants with their own characteristics. For instance, this Ceropegia has been created by cross-pollination of a Sedum and Echeveria species. Apart from these hybrids, there are many more genera I haven't mentioned in this video, but these, in my opinion, are the most popular, recognizable and widespread. And on that note, I think it's time to end it here. I hope this video was useful, and if you'd like to ask something, you can do so in the comments below. To learn more about succulents, hit the subscribe button or go to succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you very much for watching.